Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eli Robinson. I'm the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia. We run a brand new weekly trivia game every week for people all over the world to connect to their coworkers, other people in their organizations, their friends and family. And then we bring you the results of the game here every week so you can see who did well, who did poorly, and what ultimately was tricky and not tricky. As I mentioned, I'm Chief Trivia Officer. You can find me on TikTok, on LinkedIn. You can find us at watercoolertrivia.com if you're interested in playing, learning more about what we do. We're always here for you. So let's jump into this week's game. This week's game was so wild and so different than anything we had done before. So we had 5,588 people play the game this week, which is significantly higher than we've had in the past. I think that the game was easier this week, as is evident by the fact that almost 70% of people got a perfect score. The average score was 9.15, and the median score, actually, because over 50% of people got a 10, was a 10. We have long said that quiz difficulty is directly or is inversely correlated with people's propensity to want to play the quiz. If you can think about like the New York Times crossword, it's like far more people are interested in the Monday crossword than are interested in the Saturday crossword. And so I think because of our quiz being so accessible this week, so many more people decided to participate, which is awesome. Obviously, we have to be a little careful. We don't really want to put content out there on a very regular basis that's so accessible that everybody can just get a perfect score. But this is a curve unlike any curve we've seen before. So you see 10 far and away being the highest, followed by 9, followed by 8. So why was it so accessible and straightforward? So this was the introduction to the quiz this week. A pangram is a set of words that uses every letter of the alphabet at least once. A perfect pangram contains every letter exactly once. Believe it or not, the answers to questions 1 through 10 in this quiz make a perfect pangram. So once you use a letter, you won't need it again. Let's get to it. So ultimately, what we have done is set up a system by which people can use answers that they know in order to make it easier for answers that they don't know. So when I talked to people who played the game this week, I heard somebody set up like a Microsoft Excel sheet. There's plenty of people who got like a Post-it note out, a pencil and paper, and you probably would have just written down every letter like this. And then as you go through and answer the questions, you then could mark them off, right? Knowing if you have 100% confidence in an answer that you give, you absolutely certainly didn't need those answers the next week. So let's take a look at some of the questions. Before Shark Week, there was Shark Summer in 1975 with Steven Spielberg film, so that was Jaws, 97% correct, JAWS, very straightforward. If you slice a breakfast fall over the cabbage, get a fried egg in the bunker. That was a question about golf, 94% correct, very good. Relax, breathe, and tell me, a Japanese sect of Mahayana Buddhism shares what Z word name with the state of called attentiveness. That was Zen. So you can see we've used 3 vowels in the first 3 words, which ultimately became very important when we were making this. In baseball shorthand, it's a strikeout. On the periodic table, it's potassium. And a text would be a quick response like, whatever. What's the letter? K. So you can see we got one off without a vowel. Money back guaranteed if you don't like this question. What 3-letter network has made home shopping into a multi-billion-dollar business? But wait, there's more. It's owned by Curate Retail Group. HSN is its sister station. Lori Griner is its queen. Operator standing by for your answer. That's QVC. Very clever way to get a 3-letter one without a vowel. Alexa, play songs about dependent genitive forms. What possessive determiner is used in the title to signify Sinatra's way, Sheryl Crow's favorite mistake, Springsteen's hometown, and Flo Rida's house? That would be mine. When I was talking to the guy who ultimately created the quiz, he wanted to make sure that his Springsteen's hometown didn't get lost in the editing process, so we had to add it back. Botanist, this one's for you. A small lateral or terminal protuberance on the stem of a vascular plant that may develop into a flower, leaf, or shoot goes by what short, chummy name? Bud. There you go. Our last or our penultimate vowel used there. Basic was a put down used by the star of The Simple Life, who shares what initials with the scientific scale that tells you whether or not something is basic. That would be PH. Paris Hilton, of course, was the star of The Simple Life. And quit clowning around. The gutters of fictional Derry, Maine take up much of the 1,136 pages of what pronoun title 1987 Stephen King novel? That would be it. So those were the first 9 questions, and ultimately the 10th question was this. Maybe to lure your deep-pocketed pharmacists, Lexus and Mazda respectively make a luxury crossover and sports car that share what 2-letter model name? So, if you crafted this game perfectly, and we did really, really well, like we didn't do it perfectly, but if we crafted it perfectly, then I think the first 9 questions would have like really been a way so that like the 10th question is like really hard. So I think if we could do it all over again, the 10th question should say, what letters are left? So that like, it's not actually its own piece of trivia. It's kind of like, hey, if you got the other 9 things right, then you should be able to get this one. Given that this was our first time doing this, we didn't think to do that, and so we went with this question. The answer is RX. That's where like the prescription pun comes from, deep pocketed pharmacist. 73%, like I really wanted this to be low so that like you didn't have all the perfect scores, but it makes sense, right? Like this is the one that like thwarted a lot of people getting a perfect score. We actually looked recently, I don't think Mazda makes the RX anymore, but Lexus does. It's a picture up there. So happy with Q10, think we could have done better, and ultimately like really changed the how the game ended up kind of flowing. When you see the question by question percentage, you can see like the vast majority are well into the 90s and 80s. Like it was a very straightforward game, which we liked and was designed. We just didn't necessarily nail the payoff, which I don't really care because I think this is the best game we've made. I think people liked it the most. Going back to it, we had like, the most participants we've ever had. And I don't care that there's that many perfect scores, just probably would have made the tiebreaker that much more important. But really, really fun. We were a little bit nervous because it was a little off the beaten path of what we've done in the past, but I think we thoroughly enjoyed it. As I mentioned, my name is Eli Robinson. I'm the Chief Trivia Officer here at Watercooler Trivia. You can find us at watercoolertrivia.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, on TikTok, at Chief Trivia Officer. If you ever want to talk trivia, ask us about trivia, bring it to your organization, we would love to have you. Until next week, keep on tripping on.